The state is still in shock over the tragic beginning of the new year, in which dozens of people were injured and at least 3 people were killed in a fireworks explosion in Iliamanu, while another man was killed in Kalihi. Joining us now to talk about where we go from here is Governor Josh Green. Aloha and good morning, Governor. Thank you so much for stopping by with us.
Good morning.
You have a unique perspective here because you are a physician and you got to tour the scene. You said this is unlike anything you've seen in 30 years. What was it like?
It was like a bomb went off in a home and it blasted forward across the street, took the lives of beautiful people. You know, I've seen incidents where it was one individual with a hand injury or one individual with a terrible face injury over the years in the ER, but I never saw anything like that. And so it went too far. The cake bomb, or the cake firework, if you will, which looks like a cake that you might get from like Costco, shoots up dozens of aerials. Look, I love fireworks too, but they're illegal at that level, and the cake bomb fell inward and then it ignited many others, and that's the blast that killed people. So we're gonna have to be better. We have to be safer.
What do you want to do from here, being that we have seen the escalation of the danger of these aerials from, exploding a couple at a time where you might be able to hurt yourself, to where now a whole city block might be in danger with these explosives. What do you want to see done?
Well, at the end of the day, it's going to have to be a personal decision that members of the community will have to decide. We'll only do these kind of large fireworks shows in public places with supervision and support from experts, from pyrotechnic specialists, from firefighters. A little fireworks probably okay. A lot of fireworks like that, not okay. It may have to be higher penalties. I don't know if they will work, though. I'm just being totally blunt with you as kind of a governor who's seen how people behave. They're already illegal to go up in the air, but if you are going to stack them this way and hoard a lot of fireworks, it probably should be a Class C felony. And a Class C felony is punishable by up to 5 years in jail and $10,000 fines. I don't know if that will deter the very people who are currently choosing to still go out and buy, invest in them, and use them. But you see what happens otherwise. And I would just ask everyone humbly, please pause on shooting any of these fireworks off until the firefighters get a better grip on how they can contain the risk. Please make sure you take us up on our offer through amnesty programs. We'll take them back and take them off people's hands, even if they got them illegally. That's okay. We'll probably do that on January 11th. But it's about society, because the cultural value is important. Well, I get it. But this kind of accident could happen in a lot of places. And we just had the terrible fire 15 months ago in Maui. What if we had had 4 fires in the drier parts of the state because of fireworks shows like this? What if that happened? It had rained a little bit, so there was a little bit of potential for fire suppression on New Year's Eve this year. But what if we had many large fires? I'm not trying to be, emotional even about this. I'm just saying practically we could see a lot of damage, and in the current climate where the land is drier, there's not as much surface water, this could be a big hazard for us as a state. So we're going to have to do better. I will tell you that legislation doesn't always do the job. It's usually that we as a community in Ohana have to come together.
Yeah, we had not gotten a lot of rain until Tuesday night. We were fortunate to get some rain. That is a very real scenario with fires. When you're looking at the ports and things being imported, there's such high demand. We're seeing, thousands of people basically getting these in. Is there anything that can be done at the ports to stop the shipment of these getting in?
Well, just common sense. Just we have to do what we can with some technology so that there's not as much import of these fireworks. A lot of times also, people put the illegal fireworks in with the legal fireworks, and so it's very hard. So I'm not blaming anybody at all. I'm only saying when accidents happen like this, they're going to be larger and more damaging. We're probably going to have to transport about 6 people, 6 souls who had such terrible burns plus trauma to the mainland. I've authorized the use of a C-17. It'll likely go on Saturday. And let me just say this. Queens and Straub were incredible. The medics were incredible. Jim Ireland's team, amazing. They saved so many lives. Right now, Straub has got 10 or more critically injured burn victims that they are tending to. Queens has many trauma victims. But some of these individuals have 90+% of their bodies burned. Some of them have penetrating injuries to their spleen or to their liver. That's why they may very well need to be transferred, because the combo, it will cost them, if not their lives, they will be tragically injured and disfigured. We are going to, as a community, have to love them and support them. one of the members, I already can tell you, because it's 1 degree of separation in Hawaii, I knew this was going to happen. Everyone's going to know someone who is connected to one of the tragic victims. Even in our family, Jamie's cousins on the Big Island have a nephew that is going to be life flighted, I'm told, over to Arizona. So everyone's going to know someone. And then if they live and they come back, we're going to really have to love on them because their injuries are going to be profound. So if you can, of course, support the families that have lost someone or have been injured, but that will come. Right now, everyone needs to pause and not have any more of these incidents for some time. We're now going to have a new fire marshal help us. Have a lot of recommendations coming out of our task force, which started more than a year ago on fireworks, and we collected hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds of fireworks, but it only takes one incident. So all these things are very relevant, and it's gone too far. I mean, fireworks are awesome, but look at that. I mean, that's just too much. That's what professionals should be doing.
And you mix it with alcohol, it could be a recipe for disaster. You are jumping on a flight to Washington, D.C. next week to lobby against President-elect Donald Trump's Department of Health and Human Services election, which would be RFK Jr.
Right.
What's your experience with him?
So this is not personal or political, okay? RFK Jr. went to Samoa 5 years ago and scared that entire country away from being vaccinated. They stopped vaccinating. There was a terrible measles outbreak, which killed 83 people, most of which were children. And then our team of 76 healthcare professionals were invited to go and vaccinate the country. That's what we did. We did that medical mission, which was extraordinary. We vaccinated just under 37,000 people. And we were able, with their health professionals in Samoa and New Zealand and Australia, we were able to stop that pandemic, but not before 83 people were killed, because RFK scared people from being vaccinated. And just to show you, this is not a partisan issue. If there's anyone out there that thinks I'm behaving in a partisan way, it's not. I think RFK Jr. is a Democrat. He was running for president as a Democrat. He just is unqualified. And again, he could probably serve in a great capacity as an environmental lawyer, but as the Health and Human Services Secretary, he will cause outbreaks because of his position on vaccinations, because of his position on preventive health care. It's dangerous. And so I'm the only physician governor in the country. It's my responsibility to speak up when our children, and I mean not just Hawaii's children, although that is my first and foremost priority, but the children across our country are going to be vulnerable. And you will see outbreaks if his policies get enacted. The Health and Human Services Secretary is a very serious position, and the current healthcare team that the president has constructed don't have any broad public experience. Basically, none of them do. And I've met lots of great conservatives and moderates that could be healthcare providers and professionals in his administration. RFK Jr. is not one of them, and I saw it personally. So I'm going to go meet with a bunch of senators. I will talk to the media to talk about this. And I just want us to make good decisions for our country, honestly. I want us to make good decisions for our state, because I love everybody so much that it's tragic to wake up and see what we saw with the fireworks situation. It would be tragic to wake up one day and see spread of measles or, God forbid, polio. So we have to be better. We can be better, but we have to work together.
All right, Governor Green, mahalo for joining us this morning, and Happy New Year to you.
Thank you. Happy New Year.